Hey, Mia, listen, some bad news. They went with someone else for the show. It's a great part. You'd be playing the mother.
Don't you think I'm a little young to be playing Charlie Riley's mother?
Since you come from this family of filmmakers, of legendary filmmakers, how much of the experience that you lived with them are printed in this film?
Probably a lot, even without knowing it. You know, my parents made films in our house when we were growing up, so when everyone's out doing things, I was like making chicken sandwiches for the crew and hiding under tables and watching because I found it so interesting, you know. And my mother, obviously, is a very talented actress. I saw her work. I saw her work ethic, you know, and how hard she worked, and it was not a joke about any of those things. So in that way, I felt very serious. I could see how serious it would be to be an actress and how enjoyable it could be. But also, you're at the control of someone else, actually. If you're an actor, you're waiting for someone to say, oh, here's the part, or do you want to do this? And you have no control over your life, except maybe luck to be in something that gets to be well known, or you become someone, and then you can keep working. I mean, and on top of it, to be over 40 is like totally taboo. I see, and I have a lot of friends who are actors and actresses, and I watched all of this happen to them. And in America, there's this status that you have to have. So even if you aren't making $1 million a movie, and you're a woman, you still have to have all the designer clothes, the bag. You have to go out. You have to have the hair and makeup. You have to go to the party. You have to take a picture, and it's like this weird. It doesn't have anything to do with the art, you know,
exactly.
anymore. So I think for Mia, who came like me, who came from the '90s of like and before of making movies that were artistic for a reason, or a balance of that now you have to be marginalized as a woman over 40 as the wife, mother, the grandmother.
As you said, your mother's career was quite different, but in the end, the film deals with women's life over 40, and I guess that although your mother didn't have that process in her acting career, maybe she had that process in her life as a woman. So and you're dealing with it right now. So how much would you say that it's actually a taboo, and how much would you say that it's actually something that happens, that crisis?
The nervous breakdown, the midlife crisis is the new adolescence, you know. I think, of course, you know, I think as any artist has vulnerability, so much vulnerability inside, because your life is your art and you're mixing the two. You don't step away and say, oh, I mean, you do, of course, my family and thing, but every moment you're creating something. You're an actor, you're a writer, you're a director, you're a photographer, a musician, or anything. You're constantly thinking about art and your mind and how it relates to your life. I'm interested in like human feelings in film. Maybe that is the thing with my father that I have in common. And I just think that there's so much to tell, and as you get older, there's so much more to be interested and understand in life that it's, you know, it's silly. So this movie actually helped me get over my whole, like, I'm old and I'm with him. Like, oh no, okay, I'm old and now I'm past old. So now I'm just gonna like do my thing and nobody's gonna stop me, because you have to be a maniac to be in this business. You have to say, I'm gonna do it. People say no so many times to you that you like cry on the couch and you like drink a lot and you come back and then you're like juice fast and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna be a warrior, and you have to do all of those things.
That's also a cliche.
It is a fucking cliche, but it's all you just can't stop. If you want something to happen, you can't stop. And you learn, and I keep learning. I mean, I'm learning every time I make a movie. So even for me, you know, they're like, oh well. I mean, you look at all the great Italian directors, Antonioni and Visconti and everything, they started making movies in their 40s because there was the war before. And they're such interesting films because they had a point of view about life as opposed to just going through life.
For example, Alexia, the casting process, how was it? I know she worked with Sofia Coppola, which is a friend of yours. Mm-hmm. She also worked with Shan, your sister. What did you find in her that you decided that she was this character?
Well, I made my very first short film with her.
Okay.
It's called Men Make Women Crazy Theory.
Mm-hmm.
And I had met her in New York. I was living in New York, and even I just saw her out at a dinner, and she was kind of exactly. I said, "Are you an actress?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Do you want to be in my movie?" She said, "Yes." "What is it?" And I was like, "Okay, you're perfect." So she's a really talented actress, and we had so much fun making that film together that I was thinking when I was writing, I thought it's such a shame that all these actors who are so good, just because they're not movie stars, don't get to work. And I maybe was naive to think that it was going to be easier than it was, but I'm still stronger to come through it, you know. So Alexia was my choice. She was my only choice, actually. And people were not happy about that in the Hollywood world. They wanted me to use movie star. And I think I was extra against it because they wanted me to do it so much. And but I still think I made the right choice, and I enjoy the movie for what it is. And everything's just learning, you know.
There are some moments in the film. Mainly, I remember the part where they go with these two friends of hers, and they start taking pictures for the Instagram. It refreshes a lot of what's actually happening in the film, the angst of the main character. But I was watching it, and I remembered how your father was such an advocate of improvisation. How much improvisation is in the film, and mainly in those kind of fresh breaths of life during...
Let me tell you a little secret.
Tell me the secret, please.
My father, all of his scripts were written to the T. And then he let actors do things afterwards. And that is, to me, true improvisation. It's like Picasso. He knew how to be a master, but then he could draw outside the lines once he knew how. I love improvisation, but we only shot the movie in 15 days, so there was really no time to go and rehearse and do. I mean, Alexia and I had planned a lot and done most of that work before.
You wrote the film with someone else, so how do you manage to, you know, to deal with two heads working on one same project?
It was my first time actually writing with anyone else, so as I said, I wrote the base of the script first by myself. And then when we started working on it, I really wanted her voice, but we were also very good balance for each other to say, "Oh, is that so cliche?" When we were writing, like, "Is it too cliche?" "Yes." And we would try to throw it out the window. So we were good for balancing on each other, you know.
As you said, everybody was against the casting of Alexia, and you said the film is a very low-budget film. What are the difficulties?
Well, what I've heard, is that no matter what size the film, you have difficulties. And they're different difficulties. You know, obviously, when you make a smaller film, your difficulty is lack of money, and that really shows up towards the end of the film when you're doing your post-production. And you're like, "Oh, I wish we had money to do that." But also it was interesting because I started to learn the cost of things, you know. But when you deal with big budgets and studios, you have to answer to people, and they may not have the same ideas as you. So, or an actor may be very famous and have different ideas. Or, you know, I mean, there's a lot of ways. So you kind of have to just enjoy the journey. And I mean, the nice thing about making film is the next time, if you don't like the person, the next time you don't have to use them.
You're done with them.
On every level, yeah.
I think you dignify a lot of the character's process. How difficult is it for you not to judge your character? Because all of a sudden she's working in this film that she's not liking. She has to surrender to be in this ridiculous film. Have you ever been in that position, or would you ever accept doing something just for the money? Because
absolutely, we gotta eat, you know. No, you know, I think there's different. I try to look at it as always learning something, even if it's learning something bad. And, you know, there's a balance. So when there's no money, there's much more creativity. And when there's more money, there's less creativity. That's just the way it goes. So I don't know. I mean, it's very hard for every single there's so many people who want to make films and so many stories. And so you can imagine how many interesting stories we never see. And so that's why, I mean, I was thinking about the situation my country is in right now that, you know, we're not very happy about, but I won't mention any names, but we all know. But I was thinking maybe this is going to be a great time for art and for people to be reactionary about art and do stuff and people to see it and feel it. And so I'm trying to think of like something positive that's going to happen, and hopefully it's that. Yeah, it often happens like that. Yeah, for me, I love what I do, and I think if I do it from my honest heart, even all the bad stuff that's embarrassing and whatever, so that's what people will relate to. And yeah,
Thank you very much, Zoe.
thank you.